Hey, Melissa, how are you?
Hey, doing good. Just trying to get this summer school stuff.
Girl, you and me both. I actually called my grantee specialist today and I said, how soon are we going to actually have access to this money? I said, because I have to do for the school district side of things, we've got to do personal action forms on every employee.
Oh,
Like they're not just letting us pay them. So we've got to have it board approved.
wow.
So
I
she
was
said,
with my finance person this morning. We were going over numbers and staff and trying to make sure, we
yeah.
got everything. But I'm like, she's like, I feel like I got funds coming from every direction.
Oh, yeah, they've got money coming from everywhere.
Yeah.
How's everything else going for you?
Good. I just, like last year being my first year. So
Yep.
it's it's been interesting. So, and then who's your program specialist?
Lauren Jackson.
That's who I have.
Yep.
So I had asked her about the PIR, and she said she didn't know if
If
we
it
had.
was going to be waived or not for this year.
Yeah, and she said I don't know, I haven't heard anything. And so, well, I'd actually asked her about a month ago, and she hadn't heard. And then we just had a phone call on Friday,
Yeah.
and I said, "Have you heard anything?" And she said no. So
From what I've heard is we still have to do our PIR for this year, that it might not be right. I mean, like it might not
yeah,
be what we want it to be, but they
yeah,
still need the data or something.
yeah.
But
I said it's
uh,
probably not going to be pretty data. I'm not
no,
even sure how accurate it's going to be, but I mean, I guess we could do it, but
did you see the information memorandum that came out that you didn't have to do a full grant this year?
well, I think that's what I read, and I was a little confused.
Okay, good.
When I read that stuff, I'm like, I don't know if it's just where I'm new and I don't understand it, or if it's
Yeah.
just confusing altogether. Because
Well, so um I reached out to the regional program director just to make sure. And
yeah,
if you are in a non-competing 5-year grant, that
yeah,
you did not have to do the whole grant application this year.
I have been killing myself uploading stuff in there.
Yes.
Well, last summer when all that money came out, and
Uh-huh.
you're supposed to like do all that application stuff. And I mean, we were down to how many staff. I mean, we
Right.
had it all, uploaded it all. And then, like, the next day, they sent that out going, oh, don't worry about it. Whether you applied for it or not, you're getting it.
Ex- well, hey, that's exactly what happened to me, Melissa. I spent the first 3 days of spring break writing the grant because I was taking spring break the next week with some friends. And so I got the grant completely done. And then that IM came out. So I called to clarify because I thought, so I'm uploading everything. I thought, by gosh, it's the time to do this. You're going to, well, you may or they may or may not.
Yeah. Which we ended up not even having it anyways. We were going to, but it was still, everything was so undecided. And
Yeah.
we were like, no. But we are doing it this summer for sure. So,
Yes, we are as well. Hey,
how,
Rhonda. Hey, Tammy. Hey, Cindy.
we're doing it
Morning.
June 1st through June 28th. How are you guys doing it 2 months or?
No, we're just doing one because I want the staff to have a month off. Like I'm not even giving the option. Um,
No?
I need them to rest and recoup so they actually come back.
We sent out a interest survey to our parents, and we didn't
Mhm.
say, we just said, do you want the month of June or do you want the month of July?
Right.
We didn't say, do you want both? We said, pick a month.
Yeah.
Almost the greatest majority wanted June. And
Right.
we said 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks, and almost all of them wanted 4 weeks. So
Yeah.
June.
Hey, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday.
Morning.
Morning, Jessica. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. How's everybody doing on this Monday? Are y'all good? I see John is logging on.
Good, Christy. It's actually back. Glad to have the kids back in school. We are so
Oh,
excited.
Isn't it the best thing ever, Tammy?
It absolutely is.
It gives you a good little breath of fresh air.
There is nothing like being able to just walk up the hall and you know, it just gives you sense of what you're here for.
Completely. How's it going, John?
Good. That's awesome, Tammy. That's so cool. I'm sure everybody else is experiencing the same thing as well. All right. Well, we're at noon, so we will go ahead and get started. I wanted to thank everyone on behalf of Jessica and myself for participating in the virtual conference week before last. This was, I think it continues to be an experiment, although this one went, from our perspective, a lot smoother than the first one, although the first one was pretty good too. We had about 200 participants that signed up individually for this particular conference. Really good participation. And by that, I mean those that signed into sessions for the most part stayed throughout the entire session, which sort of tells me that we had compelling speakers, compelling topics, things that were of interest and were of value, but also folks were interested in getting some credit. So that was good too. On that front, Jessica has completed all of the uploads of the ECE Trust credit. So those of you and your staff that are seeking those, you should be able to check that system and you will see that all of those have been updated from KHSA. So in terms of how we did at our conference, we had about 200 folks participating with us. Those of you that had sort of holdover registrations from the last time, I hope that you found that process to be as easy as it could be in terms of trying to make sure that we carried those things forward. So I know we had a lot of folks participating that way. In terms of our revenue for the conference, our net was $25,000. So that's actually really good considering our past in-person conferences. We had only been sort of grossing out of that with all of our expenses anywhere between $1,500 and $3,000 in terms of actual profit from those. This time it would be a little different because our expenses were significantly lower for doing this. And I think from a sort of revenue model for our association, doing these virtual events so much more often really could be something that we want to look at doing in terms of service and revenue. As far as our silent auction, many, many thanks to everyone that contributed and donated items to that. I think all but one item were sold, and we ended up raising $799. That was our overall from that one. So that's really good. I think in the past, in the in-person, we had ranged anywhere between 1,100 to 1,500, and I can certainly understand how in person it sort of drives that competition a little bit. But hopefully, as we get back to our in-person conferences over the next 3 years at the Galt House in Louisville, we will be able to do that as well. So all in all, I think it was a success. The good thing for you guys is that we're going to do it all over again in the fall with a whole new set of sessions and programs. Those of you and your staff that registered for the conference in the spring, you're automatically going to be included in that conference in the fall. There will be no additional charges for registration for you or your folks if they participated in the one that we had just a week and a half ago. For those folks that did not participate a week and a half ago, we will have a registration fee for the fall, but it will be at a slightly lower rate than it was for this one, because obviously we're just including one instead of two. So that's good all the way around as far as that conference was concerned. I'd be happy to hear any comments though, if anybody's got any to share, whether good or bad. We take all sides. And I will say that we also are going to be sending out a survey to all of our participants, sort of asking them generally what they thought about the conference, what they thought about the speakers and content, and sort of why they chose to participate. I think is a question that I'm interested in, given that we had about 500 participate last fall and only about 200 participate this time. I'm not sure if it was the timing of it. Could be other things going on. I'm not sure if it was the expense. I'm not sure if it was they looked at the agenda and didn't see anything for them. So it could be a variety of different things. But I don't want to look at things negatively. I want to look at them positively. I think we had a really good conference and we brought in some money. So that's good all the way around. So any comments, I'd be happy to take them. If not, that's okay too. Okay, so everybody had a good experience. That's what we're going to say that means. Okay, a few other business items from our end. We've got a lot going on, and a lot of these things require your participation. First and foremost, we have the award nominations that are now open. Those are for the 2022 awards that we do in conjunction with Region 4. We just, during the same week as our conference, we had the formal award ceremonies with Region 4, in which we had 4 Kentucky winners in regional awards, and we had 2 Kentucky winners for the regional/national awards, folks that will be moving on to the national competition. That's really great. I've mentioned it before, but Kentucky cleaning a full third of all the awards across the Southeast, that's a tremendous accomplishment for all of the programs in Kentucky. So I would encourage everyone to go. You should have received a couple of emails from me over the last 2 weeks about those nominations for those awards. We will continue to remind you of them via Twitter, via email, via Facebook, via our website about those deadlines, because we want to make sure that we get as many nominees in as we can. I think as most folks are aware, we will then have our awards committee will get together. They will review all of the applications and make selections for the award winners for Kentucky that will then move on to the regional competition that will be held later this year. So we need your help and participation on that. The second thing we need your help on is the upcoming KHSA elections. We have 3 positions that are going to be open for nomination and election this year. And those are the position of president, the position of past president, and the position of vice president for engagement. Those are the 3 that will be up this year. So like the awards, we will continue to send you reminders and pleas for participation in that, any nominations that you have. There is a pretty robust document that we have shared with you about that. And the reason we did that was this is the first time that we've held elections under our new bylaws, election and nominating system. So I wanted to make sure that everyone fully understood what sort of timelines we were looking at and what sort of prerequisites and requirements there are for each of those positions, as well as the responsibilities that each one of those officers will have over their 2-year term. So with that, as of today, I checked with Cindy earlier, we have not received any nominations as yet. I'm going to chalk that up to people being awfully busy, and they really want to do it, but they just haven't yet had time. So the deadline for that is May 7th. So if my calculations are correct, that's the end of next week. So we've got 2 full weeks, 2 business weeks, where folks can be talking with their staffs, sharing information with their staffs, and then getting in those nominations. So any questions about those 2 items, the awards or the elections? Okay, the third thing we need your help with are our brand new standing committees and our sections. These were the new areas that were created under our bylaws that were adopted in February. And so we have new standing committees, of which our vice presidents and our past president are the chairs of those. And then we have 6 new sections. And each of those sections are the areas in which members, folks on your team, will be participating directly, whether that's data and technology, or it's education, or it's family services. Any of those sorts of areas. This is that specialized way that those people can participate with KHSA, not in a 1 or 2 time a year sort of thing, but really on an ongoing basis. And so what we're doing is we're trying to get nominations for directors, folks like yourselves, of each of our grantees, to make selections as to which standing committees they would like to serve on. Do you want to serve on the Finance and Budget Committee, or the Professional Development Committee, the Awards Committee, or the Nominating Committee? Those are the 4 options that we have for our standing committees. Which one of those do you want to be a part of? It certainly would be our hope and expectation that each of the directors would serve on at least one of those committees. Now, as far as our sections, what we're looking for right now is we're looking for chairs of those sections. And so we've got a few names in. I'd say we have roughly about half of our grantees have participated in that survey. Those of you that have not yet participated, you should have received an email from me this morning seeking your feedback. So if you've got some folks that you think would be really good at chairing or being a part of those sections, please let us know, because our goal is to stand those up just as soon as we can get them populated. Let's see, other things from us. I had a good meeting last week with my colleagues from the other states that serve as executive directors of different Head Start associations. Kentucky was in the spotlight last week. I gave a presentation for about 90 minutes on sort of our process that we used in Kentucky for strategic planning, board engagement, bylaws, sort of all the things that we've done over the last 2.5 years in sort of transforming our association into something from where it was to where it is now. And we had some good breakouts, good discussions, and I think you see a lot of folks again looking at us for that. So I just share that with you just because it's a success that I think each one of us on the call can be proud of that we took part in. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Christy to see if there are any updates from her. And I don't see Amanda. I think she may have had a conflict today, but we'll try to get an update from her via email. So Christy?
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. It's been a while since I have joined in and tried to do a little self-care motivation talk for you all, because I think it's just as important for us to make sure we're taking care of ourselves, because we all know, and we say this 100 times, but you can't pour from an empty cup. And I learned that most importantly whenever I took 3 days to go to the beach with some girlfriends and didn't take a computer with me. It was the best thing ever. So we are on the downhill slope, or some of us are, depending on when your year ends, you're on that downhill slope. So I'm going to challenge you this week to take just a few minutes, take 5 minutes, just 5 or 10, whatever you want to do, and make a summer bucket list. So what's going to be on your summer bucket list? And don't put summer school for Head Start, because that's not something you're going to do for you. Make sure you take time this week to write a summer bucket list of things you want to do. Go for a bike ride, go fly a kite with some of your kids or grandkids, start a water fight, have a water balloon fight, go eat a hot dog straight from the grill, or go have a picnic at the park. Make a list of some fun things you want to do for you and your family. So I'm going to challenge you to do that, and put that list somewhere that you can mark it off. Take some time for you, because just as much as we want our staff to recharge and reboot for August, take some time for yourself to do that as well. So I hope you'll do that. I had my kids give me a list this weekend of what they want to do this summer. So let's make a summer bucket list of, 5 or 10 things each of them want to do, and then we can go from there. So this book, 180 Days of Self-Care for Educators, is where I get these fun little tips for. So if you've not looked at this book, I'll tell you, it's probably one of the best things we did this year is just kind of go week by week, and it really has you do some self-reflection and self-care for yourself. The next thing I wanted to just share with you all is the IM that got sent out. I talked to a few people this past week, and they had not received this IM. And so John has already sent that via email to everybody, but it's the IM HS 2101. It was issued on 4/14. The part that stood out to me, after I had already completed our grant application for next year and done all of that, is if you are in between April 1 and December 31, and you write your non-competitive continuation request, you are able to do a completely modified application. So I called and talked to Heather Wondarski to make sure that all of that was correct and that I was reading this correctly, because I didn't want to mess up. But basically, all you have to do in HES or HSES is you only have to submit a budget justification and your narrative document. So there's, just make sure that you see all that. I wanted to save everybody some time that we could, if you are looking at some of those other updates and things that we usually have to send it in. There's also waiver requirements in there that you can put, and there's extensions on closeouts if that's needed. And then there's, like I said, other information on waivers and flexibilities that are still out due to the public health declaration. And that came from Dr. Futrell, our new Office of Head Start director. So wanted to make sure everybody had that information, and you were able to submit that. I also spoke with Heather to find out, and then our grantee specialist is Tangela Joseph. I wanted to know when we'd be getting our NOAs for our summer funds, because in our school district, we have to do a personal action form, just the backside of stuff, for all of our teaching staff to be able to participate and teach to get their money for the summer programming. So I just wanted to know how soon. And she said they've got a special team working on that and they hope to have them done pretty soon. So I hope that gives y'all, if anybody else has heard anything better, please let me know. But Heather and Tangela both just said they've got a team working on it and they're trying to get it done quickly. So my next question is, I just thought I'd throw it out there and you can put it in the chat or unmute yourself. I thought we'd talk about summer programming. What are y'all going to do with these funds that we've been given? I know at Paducah, just I was kind of chatting with Melissa earlier, and we're going to do a summer programming in June. We decided on that in our policy council meeting. I want our staff in July to take a breather. Yes, I'm sure our students need July. I don't want to negate that. I completely understand that our children probably need to be in person to help prepare them for kindergarten. We are going to provide summer enrichment in July, but not with live staff. We're not going to do it face to face. We're going to give them tools and resources to use in July. And then we've partnered with our school district, and the school district's going to do 2 weeks of Jump Start. But Head Start staff are going to take a break in July. So we are going to run, it's almost 5 weeks in June, I think, and provide in-person small group learning activities from 8 to 1 every day. So I just thought I'd throw that out there, and it's just going to be continuation of learning, a little bit more relaxed, obviously a little bit more fun, but that's kind of what we're going to do here in Paducah. So what other fun ideas or unique things are you doing within your programs with those summer funds? Not everybody jump on at once.
I'll jump in. We, of course, partner with multiple school districts, and so we're working with them with the K camps and projects that those districts are doing and partnering directly with those. Rather than doing something separate, we're supporting and building on what each of the districts is planning. So it's a little bit all over the place, with some in June and some in July and some 2 days and some every day and some half days. And it's like working a puzzle, but we feel very strongly that if we can support what those districts are doing, and some of them are having the preschool Head Start teachers, and some are having the kindergarten teachers and combinations of staffing, that our children are really going to benefit best from being as involved in those activities as they can. And then I think pretty much every district we're supporting doing some materials for at home as well.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Cindy. I'll tell you a unique thing that I heard on a call this week, is that there's a few Head Start programs out there. I was on a superintendent's call, and their Head Start program started the hiring process now so that they can watch teachers that they hopefully want to hire in the classroom teaching for summer school, being an assistant. So I thought that was a unique way just to see who's out there. Who else has ideas on what they're going to do for summer school or summer programming, summer fun? Anybody?
Christy, we're basically doing the same thing that Cindy is doing, but we're also using some of that money for our preschool staff to help out the early Head Start program over the summer, because we're just getting up and running again. So I think it's going to be needful to get our staff helping them.
That's a great idea, Renee. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
Anybody have anything different? Obviously, we're probably all doing some type of summer programming, but if there's something different, a different way that you're reaching out to your community, let's share that out, because I always think it's better to use a new idea than have to bang your head against the wall to create something new. I know there's some great resources and ideas out there. Anybody else?
One other thing, Justin reminded me, we're creating our own school readiness backpacks to send home as well.
I love that.
Yeah. Thank you, Justin, for reminding me.
Yeah, you know, one of the our school district is partnering with, it's called the New Teacher Project, and it's an information on accelerated learning. So we're partnering with them as our Head Start program to look at building bridges, basically, looking at missing skills. And that's one of the top tier things, getting students back and ready for kindergarten, is ensuring that they have the same resources at home. I know we've all done that in our virtual learning, but just to continue that, to make sure our families have access to those tools. So Renee, I think that's great. You're continuing those school readiness kits and backpacks for kids at home, because our families will typically be the ones who don't have those ongoing resources. And I think that's something that we've learned, is making sure that we continue to support families and having those resources at home.
Christy, one thing that we have been looking at is doing a transition camp for our kids that'll be transitioning to kindergarten. We've worked with all of our school districts, and they have actually recorded videos for us of their school and introducing themselves and things like that. And we've also worked with them on the transitional backpacks, so that they'll have all those kindergarten readiness items, as well as the skills that are needed for each of the kids that's participating in the transition camp.
That's awesome, Shonda. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else want to share out? I'll share with y'all, I've got a call coming up on Friday with Dr. Deb Bergeron. I've got a lot of ideas around curriculum, a lot of ideas on next steps. We've done what's called some blue sky thinking here at Paducah Head Start, where I've allowed the staff to get off our straight curriculum for the this last 9 weeks when we started, and they are developing lessons and doing some lessons and learning straight off our standards, but we're really not focused completely in on our curriculum for Off Street Press. So I've allowed them to just do a little bit more unique planning. They've loved it. It's been amazing walking down the hallways and seeing some of the things they're doing in classrooms, but it doesn't fall under our curriculum fidelity, and it doesn't fall under having a research-based curriculum, because it's what they're writing. So none of that's researched and published, obviously. So I'm talking to Dr. Bergeron. She's taking on a new role within NHSA, and really looking at what can we do to ensure we're meeting kids where they're at. And so she and I have been having these email conversations back and forth on how our kids are not a boxed curriculum, how our kids are not they're not in a box. They're not cookie cutter kids. And we need to have the flexibility around curriculum and instruction to do it meets the needs of our kids. So I'll be interested to share some of that information with you all very soon. I think it's something that needs to be discussed, because I have a feeling that sometimes we get these curriculums and then we're boxed in, and our kids aren't in that. We need to do what's best for them. So I will definitely keep you all posted, and Dr. Bergeron's excited to see what unique options we might be able to kind of bring out of some of this crazy planning our teachers have been doing. So anywho, anybody have anything else? If not, I'm going to turn it back over to John.
I have a question. I just wanted to see how many, or if any of you all have switched over to that DDRP in Child Plus, and what are your thoughts?
Shonda, I'll tell you just from our experience here, I have not, but mine is probably because I am fully blended, and the I don't remember the acronym, but the assessment through Child Plus is not on the acceptable assessment list for kids on the state funded side of things. So I'm just not wanting to add in another assessment.
Are you
Not the
still
same
linked
for
with
me.
TSG?
Yes, we just use TSG.
That's the same for us too, Shonda. I think my folks would just, have a out and out mutiny if we tried to add something else that took time to learn and was, in addition to meeting, the required choices. So yeah, we didn't even look at it.
Well, thank you. We was just kind of looking at it, and I told, my staff, I said, well, we'll just wait and see if someone else uses it and how it goes for them first.
I will say I saw a thread of conversation in my peers this morning, and I think there's quite a bit of confusion out there because people were asking about lesson plans with Child Plus, and just remembering it's only an assessment, it's not a curriculum.
Yeah.
And so I think, we have to walk that fine line as well.
Thank you, ladies.
Shonda, that's a great question. I appreciate you bringing that to the group so that we all can kind of hear what everybody's doing. So great question.
Yeah, and I would say, I don't know if folks saw the chat, but both Audubon and LKLP are just using TSG. You can see that.
And again, I'm not saying TSG. I mean, I'm definitely not a spokesperson cheerleader. I will 100% admit that I know several times we use our own agency assessment that we've created based off the early childhood standards and in conjunction with the Head Start framework. And sometimes TSG is not the end all be all. I think it's a research-based assessment. I think it's great. I know there's several people out there who love it, and it gives some data that we have to report out, but I don't think it always gives a true snapshot on where a child is. I think our staff do a phenomenal job telling us verbally based on other data that they have in the classroom. So I know that sometimes we have to use TSG because there's a performance standard that says we have to have a research-based reliable, and that's a pretty big money pit.
Okay,
Awesome.
any other updates or feedback from folks we haven't heard from? All right, I'm not hearing any. Okay, gang, that's all that I've got for you. Does anybody have anything else to share or any questions? Okay, well, just a reminder to fill out the officer nominations for our upcoming elections, as well as take a look at the 2022 awards packet and make sure that your folks have that so that Kentucky can continue to be recognized for all the great work that each of you and your teams are doing. So with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn. We do have a meeting scheduled for next Monday, and so we look forward to seeing everybody then. Thank you so much. Have a great week.